Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing well. I am back with another interesting video of Docker fundamentals for day 2, and today I would be talking about virtual machines, containers and difference about them, then what is Docker image registry and what is Docker hub. Okay, so stay tuned with me and learn about Docker with Tech on Cloud. So let's begin. So today we will be seeing the difference between the virtual machine and the container. So when we talk about Docker, these are the two basic names which people compare while using Docker. So in a brief, let's try to understand what is a container. A Docker container is a standard unit of software bonded with dependencies so that applications can be deployed fast and reliable between different computing platforms. Okay, so the main motto here is of deploying and managing on different computing platforms without any difficulties. Okay, then what is virtual machine? A virtual machine is a digital version of the physical computer. Virtual machine software can run programs and operating systems, store data, connect to networks, and do other computing functions. And it also requires maintenance such as updates and system monitoring. Okay, the virtualization in virtual computer take place with the help of hypervisor. So what does an hypervisor do? So hypervisor divides the resources of the host system and allocates them to each guest environment installed. Okay, so there would be a hardware and then there would be a hypervisor which will be installed on that, which would be distributing the resources. Okay, now let's move further to see the differences between a virtual machine and a container. So as you can see on the screen, I have a very basic diagram of virtual machine architecture and container architecture. So let's start with first the container architecture. So container, which is associated with Docker, we have the underlying hardware which is in green box, and then operating system is installed on it. Okay, and on operating system we have a Docker installed on the OS. Okay, Docker then manages the containers that run with libraries and dependencies. So you can see in the image in the container section we have two containers running. Okay, now in the case of virtual machines, we have a pretty much similar architecture. We have a hardware infrastructure installed at the bottom, then we have OS installed above that hardware, then we have hypervisor installed. So in container there is a Docker playing a role, and here in virtual machine hypervisor is playing a role. Okay, so the hypervisor can be of like ESX or some other kind of virtualization technique which powers the virtual machine to just distribute that host resources. Okay, virtual machines have their own OS inside it. Okay, so this is a virtual machine container and it has its own OS at the bottom. Okay, So what results due to this? The overhead cost is resulting in higher utilization of underlying resources, as there are multiple virtual operating systems and kernel running. Okay, so in case of virtual machines, the utilization is very high, as you can see here with the help of the diagram. Then this is due because VM containers are running their own operating systems and kernels with them. Then the virtual machines also consume higher disk space. This is also due because they are very heavy. Their size is usually in gigabytes, whereas Docker containers are having their size in megabytes, and they don't have their own operating system in each container. Okay, so they share the same OS kernel. Due to that, their size is also less and their utilization is also very low. Okay, due to the heavy architecture of virtual machine, their boot up time is very high. They take usually a minute to boot up, whereas container boot ups within second. Okay, now it is also important to note that Docker has less isolation, as more resources are shared between the container like the kernel and etc. Okay, whereas virtual machines have very high isolation. Sorry, virtual machine is having very high isolation, and they don't rely on the underlying OS or kernel. They have their own. Okay, you can run different types of operating systems such as Linux based or Windows based on the same hypervisor. Okay, I hope I would be very much clear on the differentiation between the two architectures. Okay, so these are some differences between them. Okay, now let's move to the next slide, which is Docker Image Registry. So what is Docker Image Registry? So it is a storage and distribution system for the named Docker images. These images might have multiple different versions identified by their tags, and they're further organized to Docker repositories. So in simple terms, it is an area where the Docker images are installed, or we can say that Docker images are stored. Instead of converting the applications to container each and every time, a Docker can directly use the image stored in the registry. The image registry can either be public or private. Okay, Docker Hub is the most popular and famous public registry available. I hope I am clear. What is Docker image registry? Now let's move what is to Docker Hub. Okay, so it is a public cloud-based registry provided by Docker for storing public images of the containers, along with the provision of finding and sharing them. Okay, so this is a cloud-based public repository where we store the Docker images, and it is public, so anyone can fetch the image from here according to their needs. Okay, so we have their different versions stored here. Like if you want to fetch Ubuntu 20.04, we have to mention that tag along with docker push docker run pull command to pull that image, and with the help of docker push command we use to push the image into the Docker Hub. Okay, so then Docker image is created with the help of a Docker file. Okay, so this is all for today. Today we learned what is a virtual machine, what is a container in brief, then what is the architectural difference between a virtual machine and a container, and what are the various characteristics of that architecture, then we learned about Docker Hub and Docker Image Registry in today's lecture for Docker Fundamentals. So this is all for today. I'm not making videos so long so that it would be easy for you to grasp things little by little, but yeah, coming videos would be a little lengthier. So let me announce the topic for day 3. Day 3 we will be seeing steps to install Docker on Linux and Windows machines. Then we will be talking about different terminologies which we are using in Docker along with their definition, and if it will be feasible, then I will be talking about the architecture of the Docker. Okay, so this is all for today, day 2. And if you like this video, please subscribe. If you have any doubts, please comment. And if you like the content, please like the video and subscribe it and press the bell icon. See you all in the next video, which will be Docker Fundamentals Day 3 with Tech on Cloud. Till then, bye bye, take care.